Excel 2007, the basics. Whether you've been using Excel for years and years, or this is your very first experience with a Microsoft spreadsheet, there will be something new in this nugget for you. Of course, we are going to start from scratch, so we'll have to add our own text and numbers. We'll take advantage of the autofill technique to let Excel really just figure out what it is we want it to do so we don't have to type as much. We'll do some very high-level formatting. We're going to save the more advanced formatting for a later nugget. AutoSum is a tool that's been around forever. So here I want to make sure you know where it is, or if you're new to Excel, that it exists, because in a couple clicks of a mouse, you can sum an entire column or an entire row. Well, chances are in a very large spreadsheet, eventually you're going to want to insert a new blank row or column, and I'll show you how. And just like always, there are the cut, copy, and paste commands in this data program, but I'll show you a couple shortcuts that you might not know about as well. Well, we've got to start somewhere, so let's start from scratch. Here is Microsoft Excel, and we want a very new blank spreadsheet. To do this, we can go to the Office button and select New. If you're used to the Control-N on your keyboard without having to go to a menu command, you can still do that. Something I like about this new version of Excel is all the expanded templates. Look at, these are some pretty typical things that you'll want to do in Excel. Maybe you have inventories or invoices that you're creating, purchase orders even. You have all sorts of different typical spreadsheet items that you can take advantage here. Now, some are built into your installation of Excel. Others allow you to go out to Microsoft's online website and download these templates for free. Now, I just want to make a blank spreadsheet, so I'll select blank and recent. A blank workbook, and I'll choose create. Here I have just your typical spreadsheet. Nothing at all but blank, empty cells. I'm in cell A1 right now. We always call our cells by their names. It's a combination of their columns and the rows. I can tell I'm in A1 because, well, it's bold, but also I have A1 up here in the name box. If I were to select F9, well, now I see F9 up here in this name box, but also I can tell because the column and the row is orange. I love that. I'm going to go back up to cell A1. I could click or I could press Control Home on my keyboard. Because a lot of people do data entry in Excel, it's really nice to know these keyboard commands so that you don't have to waste time, grab that mouse, and click in various places. Well, we are going to create a small little spreadsheet for our pretend warehouse store that sells sports supplies. So in cell A1, I'm going to type January. I'm just going to type JAN for January. Now I can press Tab and type in February and so on down the line, but I can also show you a technique called autofill. Doesn't matter where you start. You don't have to be in cell A1, but you do have to make sure you select the cell that you want to, well, have Excel assume what the pattern is. So we're talking about months here. That's a typical pattern, right? January, February, etc. So I am going to use the autofill technique. Notice how my cursor is a fat plus. Pretty much it's a fat plus whenever I'm in Excel, unless I put it in different areas on a cell. If I put it in the bottom right-hand corner, where that little teeny box indicates, I get a skinny black plus. Now I can click and drag across. Excel is assuming my pattern, and it's assuming it correctly. And there I go. I have a nice range of cells. I didn't have to do all that typing. It's pretty nice, right? Here it even gives me this little box for my autofill options. If I click that down arrow, it's saying, hey, do you want to fill the series? Did I only want to copy the formatting across, or did I not want to copy the formatting across? And, you know, these are pretty typical here. So once I just choose to disregard that, it'll eventually go away. I really want to now put the row headers for my sports supplies down here. And before I do that, I need to move these headers, don't I? I wanted to show you this. That's why I started in cell A1. I could do a cut and a paste by going onto my Home tab, making a selection, using my scissors, and then clicking in just one cell where I want the beginning of my range to be pasted, and then clicking Paste. That's one way that you can do that. I'm going to show you a way that I prefer. I'll click the undo button. It sets everything back. If I press escape, well, that removes that dashed line that indicates I have a selection on my clipboard. I clicked and dragged to select this selection. And now, for speed's sake, I'm going to move my pointer. Notice how now it's 2 overlapping arrows. It's not the fat plus, it's 2 overlapping arrows. It's not the skinny black plus. All right, I'm going to cut and paste this way. In fact, I'm just simply going to move. Now I've moved everything. I think that that is a lot quicker than doing the cut and paste command. Well, what do we sell here at our sporting goods store? We sell bats, we sell golf clubs, we sell tennis rackets, R-A-C-Q-U-E-T-S, I believe is how you spell rackets. I'll do a spell check later just to make sure. Notice here that tennis rackets is too long for column A. That means it's extended into cell B4. That's fine unless I actually type data in this cell, and now I can't read all of this text. That's where the nice auto size command comes in. If I were to put my pointer up in the column headers in between column A and B, see now my cursor looks different than it has before. If I simply double click, it's going to auto size that column to accommodate the widest text. I could have clicked and dragged also and made it whatever size I want. Notice it actually gives me a width counter kind of in the upper right hand area there. I like the double click though. It's always going to resize those items. You know, I'm just going to type in some numbers. In fact, let's only use January, February, and March. We'll do this by quarter. So I'll select those cells that I don't want text in and press delete on my keyboard to remove them. In the interest of time, we're just going to have a small little spreadsheet. So I had $700 worth of bats. I'll press tab to get into February's. We'll say that was $800. March was $1,500. When I press enter now, it puts me in the next available empty cell within my spreadsheet. Well, my range of cells where I'm adding data. We'll say that this is $1,450. I'll press tab. We've got $560 and $750. I hit enter. It brings me back here. $1,200 for tennis rackets seems about right. $1,000 in February. We're in Arizona, so we sell more. We have a lot more tennis going on in the winter months than you do perhaps out there in Minnesota. Well, now we have a basic spreadsheet created. From here, we'll do some very simple formatting. I'd like all my numbers to have dollar signs around them, so I can click and select that range. On my Home tab, I do have my number formatting area. I could choose dollar signs. Now they all have dollar signs around them, and they also have the decimal places. So as you can tell, I'm not concerned with decimals here. It actually takes away from the beauty of my spreadsheet. So I'm going to remove those 2 decimal places. I can do so here with this. I can increase my decimal places. Nope, don't want to do that. I can decrease my decimal places, bring them back to 0. All right. Now, I also have the ability of going back to my dollar sign, and instead of choosing the dollars, I could be maybe working with euros. So I can update it that way. This is new to Excel 2007. Just with a very simple click of a button, you can change the type of, well, currency you're working with. You could even open up a dialog box to get into more accounting formats. This is the same format cell dialog box that we've had for a very long time. I'm on accounting. I could change to currency, and by doing that, now my dollar sign, you'll notice, is going to be in a different spot in this spreadsheet. Again, I could choose what symbol. I can go back to 0 decimal places, and if I know I'll be working with negative numbers, I could choose. Do I want them to show up as red with a parentheses around it, or just with a simple minus sign in front of it? I'll choose OK, and because I'm not using accounting, my dollar sign is squished right next to my numbers. I'm going to hit undo to show you what the difference was there. This is accounting. It's up to you. I could also change these back to not having a dollar sign at all. And by doing this, actually, I'll go to more accounting formats. I'll go back to general, and I'll choose OK. Because then when I do my totals, I can have dollar signs around them. And I think maybe that will be a little bit easier on the eyes. Let's go ahead and do just some basic formatting. I want my column headers, January, February, and March, and my row headers to all look the same. If I press Control on my keyboard and click and drag, I now have two selections of data. Notice if I were just to click and drag here and then click and drag here, I wouldn't have two selections. So again, Control allows you to select cells that are not connected to each other. Why do you care? Well, very often you want the same look on a number of different cells, and you don't want to have to repeat the different formatting items that you're going to select, because I want to do quite a bit. I'm going to change the font. Something that's neat about Excel 2007 is you can see what that font is going to look like on your spreadsheet. Can you see behind this drop-down menu it says bats, golf clubs, and as I roll over, I can actually see what the different font is going to do on my spreadsheet. I want people to be able to read this, so I'll just go with the Arial Rounded. And now both my headers, my column headers, and my row headers were updated. Oops, I need to resize column A again. I'll go ahead and select this range of cells here, and I'll just change that font size. Actually, I'll make it 10. And you know what? I should probably make it the same font. That was the Arial Rounded font. Now, if I want to, I could also change the font color. And again, as you roll over the colors, it's going to show you what it will look like on the spreadsheet. I'll just do navy blue for kicks here. You still have your bold, italic, and underline, pretty much like you've always had. And you also can just increase the font size with a couple clicks of the button, which can be pretty nice. Let's go ahead now and embellish this a little bit more. When I select these items, I can also give them a little angle. Perhaps that'll improve the way that it looks on my spreadsheet. If I don't like that, I can always just click the undo button. We're not getting detailed into all of our formatting here. I just wanted to give you the basics. Let's go ahead now and sum up each one of these columns. One way that I could do that is I could click where I want the value to go, the sum of all of them. I'm on my Home tab. My Auto Sum button is right here. By simply clicking on it, it's going to say, alrighty, what do you want me to sum? I'm indicating what I think you want me to sum. Is that true? If not, go ahead and just modify the formula here. It's right, so I could press Enter on my keyboard, or I could click that Auto Sum button again. If you knew specifically the numbers, maybe I only wanted to sum 2 of these, I could select them, and then I could click on the Auto Sum button, and it assumes and puts the number right below. It's giving me this little green triangle here. When I roll over it, it's going to tell me I've got a problem. Formula omits adjacent cells. Yeah, because I did not select the 800. I can just update the formula to include that cell, and now it has. How do I know? Well, when I select this once, I can see up in the formula bar, it's summing C2 through C4. By the way, if you double click in a cell, it also will show you what that formula is. If you're okay with it, then you can click the check mark. Everything is good to go. Now, I've shown you 2 ways that you can do this auto sum formula. I could also autofill over, and it's going to assume. I double clicked on that again. So that autofill works with formulas, it works with text, it works with numbers, it works with formatting as well. It's a pretty nice feature. I also want to sum up my rows totals. So I'm going to select these cells, I'm going to hit my sum button, and it's going to assume that in row 2 I want B2 to D2. If I press escape on my keyboard, it takes me out of that edit mode. If I double click on this cell, look at that, it's assuming, oh well, you copied me down a row, therefore I should sum the 3rd row, not the 2nd row. Pretty nice, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. All right, it's always good to indicate labels, so I will do so here.